Hello, Sudoku friends, and welcome to October 6th, 2023. Again, we are looking at the hard Sudoku puzzle by the New York Times. We have a very typical New York Times pattern in front of us. I want you to look at the 1, 4, 5, and a 7 here. They must go in these 4 squares here. And that leaves 3 squares here to figure out, namely a 6, 2, and a 3. And I can't do that at the moment. I think what I can do is figure out that these 2 squares must be an 8 and a 9. And that, of course, puts a 6 here or here. We have an 8 here or here because of this 8 blocking over and this 8 blocking up. So 8 must go here or here. We also have an 8 in one of these 2 squares, and we have an 8 here or here. Ones must go here or here, and here or here. Therefore, 1, 4, row 7 must go either here or here. That gives me some limitations on the ones, but not enough for me to proceed with actually entering a 1 anywhere. But we can enter a 5 in the corner cell here because we have 2 5s blocking these 4 squares, and we have this 5 blocking the square over here. So here's a 5. We have a 7 in this position because these 2 7s here block these 5 squares. So here's a 7. We talked about how these 2 squares must be an 8 and a 9, right? Because we have 8 and 9, of course, blocking over here. Now we know that an 8 must go in this position because this 8 is blocking up. And that gives me a 9 here and an 8 here. These 2 8s block these 4 squares here in block 1. Therefore, an 8 must go here. Now we have a 1 here or here. We have a 9 here or here. These 3 squares have got to be a 7, 6, and a 3. And therefore, we are going to have a 7 here or here. That is not very helpful, but it might come in handy later to have analyzed it already. For row 5, we need to find a 2, 4, 5, and a 9. We have a 2, 5, and a 9 blocking the square, therefore it can only be a 4. Now we have a 4 either here or here. We have this column 3. We need to find a 6, 7, 1, and a 3. And we have a 6, 7, and a 1 blocking this square. Therefore, it can only be a 3. Now we have 3s here or here. Now a 1, 6, and a 7 for the remaining squares. And those I can't place yet. I'm interested in this square here because to complete row 2, we need to find a 2, 4, 5, and a 9. There is a 4 and a 9 here, so this is a 2 or a 5. Now look at this square. It cannot be a 1, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, or 9, but it can be a 2 and a 5. So these 2 squares here are a 2 and a 5. That means that 2 and a 5 can't go in these 2 squares. We have a 5 blocking over here and a 5 blocking over here. And that puts a 5 in this position here. Can we see anything else? 2, 5, and 2, 5. 1 must go here or here. Why not here or here? You may ask. You remember how we already established that a 1 must go here or here, and that is why. But now this square catches my eye because it's empty. And because I know it cannot be a 2 or a 5. It also cannot be a 6 or a 3. So what can it be? It can be a 1, but not a 2, not a 3, not a 4, not a 5, and not a 6, not a 7 because a 7 goes here or here, not an 8 and not a 9. Look at that. We have a wonderful looking 1 right here. Now this 1 blocks down, this 1 blocks over, this 1 blocks over. So here is a 1. We know that one of these had to be a 1. Now we know that the 1 goes here. Now what? Still a 7, 4, 5 for these squares here. So this is a 4 or a 5, right? Because a 7 must go over here. And the 5 blocks up. Guess what? This must be a 4. And now we have a 4 here. And we have a 5 and a 7 here. So now here we are ending up with a missing 9, 2, and a 5. 9 blocks up. Oh, it's no good, not yet. So where can I set the hook for the next numbers? This must be a 2 or a 9. And this can't be a 2 or a 9. Can we get closer? No, I don't think we can. I can't do much about the 4s either. So these 4 empty squares, we know that this is a 2 or a 5. What else is missing in block 5? A 7 and a 9. So this cannot be a 2, it cannot be a 5, and it also cannot be a 9, so it must be a 7. Now we have a 7 here or here. We also have 7s here or here. So we need a 7 for one of these two positions, and this 7 blocks over, giving me a 1 here and a 7 here. Now this must be a 7, and I think this puzzle now unravels. We have a 7 here. And here we are going to have a 6 and a 3. 6 blocks up, of course. So here's a 3, here is a 6. Now we have a 6 here. We also have a 6 blocking over and down. So 6 goes here or here, blocking up. This 6 blocks down. Here is a 6. It also happens to be the last open square in the column. So I could have found that out a lot easier, I think. Anyway, 2 and 9 here. And here, a 2, 3, 8. We have a 3 and an 8 blocking down. So here's a 2. Here's a 3, 8. Now we have a 2 either here or here. 5 and 9 here. But we found this 1, didn't we? So now we have these two 1s blocking down and this 1 blocking across, giving me a 1 here. This is now a 3 or a 9. 3, 8. 8. 2, 4, 6, 9 for column 8. 2, 4. This is a 6, 9. This cannot be a 9. It also cannot be a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Can be a 6, but not a 7, 8. So yes, here is a 6. Now we have a 6 blocking up, and we have a 6 blocking over. Here's a 6. And that gives us a 6 for the top row, like so. And now 2 and a 3 for these. The 3 blocks up, giving me a 2 here and a 3 here. Now this must be a 2. And we have a 2 here or here, but I think I mentioned that earlier. Here we're looking for a 9 and a 4. The 4 blocks over, forcing a 9 to go here and a 4 here. Now this 9 blocks up, this 9 blocks over, here's a 9. These therefore must be a 2 and a 5. The 2 blocks up, giving me a 5 here and a 2 here, and therefore a 5 here. Here now a 2, and here a 9. This square must be a 4, giving me a 4 for this position here. Still a 3, 8 here, and still a 3, 9 here. And we can place an 8 here because this 8 blocks this square. This 8 blocks this square. So we need an 8 for the bottom row, and it's got to go here. And that makes this a 3, and this a 3, and this a 9. Now we have a 9 here, and we must have an 8 here. By normal Sudoku rules here, we must have a 2. And that forces a 2 here and a 7 here. Remember the 7, 5 up here? This is now a 7, and this is now a 5. 5 blocks down and 5 blocks over. A 5 goes here. 3, 6, and 9 still missing. 6 blocks down, here's a 6, here's a 3, here's a 3, here's a 9. I would rate this about as easy as yesterday's hard puzzle by the New York Times. Quite fun to solve. Thank you for watching, and bye for now.